Chapter 2. Bending the blinds back to get a clear view of the front yard, Ember watched as her mother was escorted to the ambulance by the two large men. Handcuffs dangled around her wrists. Ember fell to her knees, trying to comprehend what was happening. Tears filled her eyes. Boots sat on the edge of her bed, slouched over, gazing at her. She snatched him up in her arms and tried to find support in his soft, limp body. The neighborhood streetlights clicked on, but the lights were far from comforting that night. Later that week, Ember sat on her bed, distracting herself with a small television set on her white dresser. Her mother had yet to come home after that night. Knocking gently on the door, her dad stepped into the pink, checkered bedroom. Rabbit wallpaper lined the ceiling. Toys scattered across the floor covered the view of the carpet, and the TV flickered with lively cartoons. The man's stature seemed far out of place for this young girl's space. He sat next to her on the twin-sized bed. "Your mom and I are going to get a divorce," he said, looking down at his 9-year-old daughter. Ember just nodded in the shock of the moment. The rest of what he said was lost. Her mind was racing. Her mom had been in the hospital for days, and now she would not be returning home. Ember's thoughts twisted around the idea of life changing so drastically in one moment. Her dad asked her something as he started to get up to leave. His words still escaped her. She just let him leave the room. A commercial came on the TV. The loudness of it distracted her for a partial second. She got up to turn it off, kicking toys out of her way to make it to the large round button. The noise cut off abruptly, and the screen went black. Sitting in the back of her mind, I watched as she struggled to understand the changes that were soon to come. When her mother was released from the hospital, she went to live with Ember's grandmother. Visiting that house was one of Ember's least favorite things. Strange stuffed rabbits lined an extraordinary number of shelves. She wondered if that was the inspiration for her bedroom wallpaper. It had that musty smell that only seems to linger in the homes of older folks, and being a visitor, she was never allowed to touch anything. Soon after that, her mother lost custody rights of her children. Not well enough to take care of children, is what Ember remembered being told when asking the reason she was not able to see her mom. When her mother had recovered enough to have her own apartment and work, she was hired at a hospital to do some sort of desk job. Eventually, Ember began visiting her mom on Wednesdays and every other weekend. Eric only came on the weekends for a while, but then moved in with their mother. The reason for the difference in custody was a mystery to Ember. They adopted 2 new cats to lighten up the dark flat. It started to resemble a real home again. She continued her grade schooling at the same school as before, keeping all of her old friends. Life went on. Her father was going to lose their original home, however. The for sale sign hung outside, a constant reminder of the loss they would soon experience. The project of packing up the house became a top priority. Ember sat in the living room, stretching a piece of tape over a brown cardboard box. A woman came around the corner. She was petite, with straight dark hair that ended near her waist. "This is my friend Sophia. She is here to help us pack." Mr. Sonane introduced the woman to Ember and Eric.